Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to Uther Tech. We're going to ramble a little bit about where I think Microsoft is going and why I believe that the big three tech companies have very little vision and they're not taking us anywhere. Appreciate everybody stopping by. Thanks for all the comments and views on the last couple of videos. I really appreciate it. Let's continue the conversation. Hopefully more and more large YouTubers will continue to have this conversation and it'll get out there and start pushing these companies forward. Now, what I really want to talk about today is the fact that Apple, Google, and Microsoft seem to just not be innovating anymore, and they don't really have a vision of where they're going. And that's really sad, because if you look at Microsoft's Xbox side of things, it seems like Phil Spencer has a lot of vision on where they want Game Pass and Microsoft gaming to go. They, over the past couple of years, have brought out Game Pass. They've merged PC gaming and Xbox together. Now, the rumors of Game Pass coming to the Nintendo Switch seem to possibly be true, and those rumors are ramping up day by day. And that could be big for both Nintendo and Microsoft, right? Microsoft is not going to attempt to go face-to-face with a Nintendo handheld. It's just not going to work. No one has ever truly competed with Nintendo in handhelds, and it's mostly because they constantly try to play a different game, and it just does not work. People want something simple and easy on the go, and sometimes maybe that's correct. Maybe we don't need as much innovation as people think they do. Maybe we need to simplify and pay more attention to where technology is going, phones and tablets and computers, laptops and all, and really simplify the direction, because obviously over the last couple of years, companies like Intel have not really pushed the technology sector forward very much. If it wasn't for AMD and NVIDIA, we wouldn't really be going that far, which is why Apple, obviously, that and them being selfish, went a route away from Intel, and eventually they probably will have no Intel or AMD parts at all, right? That's probably the direction they're going. So ideally, these companies need to figure out what their plans are, and if they're going to continue to just throw spaghetti at the wall hoping it's done and it sticks, which Google is the biggest issue, period. I mean, I can't think of anyone that's worse than them when it comes to that. I mean, app after app, product after product, they constantly just like, oh, we don't like this idea, let's cut it. They had the Google Slate. They didn't like the way that went, so they cut that. They cut apps. They went backwards with their phones. They keep changing direction over and over again. They bought HTC's phone segment, and realistically, they haven't gone anywhere with it. They got the squeeze feature. They didn't even use that the last couple phones, right? So I'm not sure Google knows where they're going. And I also, like I said in my last video, I'm not sure Microsoft knows where they're going, especially considering the rumors out that the new Duo is just going to be a couple slight upgrades internally. And I'm really, really hoping that that rumor is not true, or that we're reading it wrong. I've said over and over again, they need to figure out the bezel. They need to figure out what they're going to do with the pen, give it somewhere to put it. They got to get some type of partnership to get some decent cases for it. Maybe get the Netflix and some of these other companies to offer HDR, better camera, a couple things like that, because while it's not targeted toward the standard consumer, it is prosumer. If you're really going after prosumers, there are a couple things you need to target. Like if you want them using Office Lens and using Office and OneDrive and stuff like that on the Duo, then we need a slightly better camera to take better pictures for real estate agents and traveling business individuals and door-to-door and business-to-business, and the list goes on and on and on, especially with more and more people working at home, and that's going to be the future for a lot of jobs. Companies are going to stop paying real estate fees that they're paying and start paying people to work at home. And these companies need to figure something out. And I thought the direction was seen by when Microsoft came out with the Laptop Go, but that was just a shrunk down laptop to make it affordable. And obviously with the entry level Go, they took away the fingerprint sensor. They took away the ability to use the pen, which makes no sense whatsoever considering they have pen functionality in the Surface Go 2 and the Surface Go. I can't see that the difference in cost in the processor from the Pentium to the i5 after the 10th gen had been out for a year was what caused them to do that, especially considering if they can push more pins, it would make up the cost, right? If you can get people to buy a $550 Surface Laptop Go and get attachments on it, the attachments are going to pay for the differences. On top of the fact that, again, I say this over and over again, Microsoft, Apple, Google, Samsung, the list goes on. These companies make money from you using their product, right? Very little is made, if any, directly on the product, right? They want the product in your hands, so by using it, they're making their money. I'm not sure where the direction's going. Microsoft's big attention's basically on Azure, which obviously AI is the future. If you're paying any attention to the market, the state of the world, AI, robotics, genomics, like just go look at ARK Invest. Like that's the direction the world is going. However, that is a long ways away. These companies need to slow it down a little bit. They need to figure out what their plans are and realize that we're hitting a wall in performance in some areas. Obviously, we're still on 7 nanometer. Intel hasn't even got there yet. We're starting to see 5 nanometer process nodes. You guys can look that stuff up. That's just basically the processors and the technology advancing. And we're hitting a wall on that. Moore's Law is starting to hit us from what I've seen. Obviously, we could be wrong. And we need to start figuring out how to make devices easier to use, innovate the hardware itself, right? Obviously, we've seen the Surface Laptop, the exact same device for 3 straight years. We've seen the Pro the same for years and years and years, which is why I have a feeling that the Duo, there's no reason to think the Duo is going to look any different if they haven't changed the Surface Pro in, 4 or 5 generations now, haven't changed the Book in 3 generations outside of adding a couple external ports. And they haven't done anything to the laptop itself outside of adding C last generation and making the touchpad bigger, right? Now, obviously, some of that's a good thing. The laptop itself, in my opinion, is perfect, right? That's my opinion. I sell a lot of them, and I think the laptop physically is great outside, as in the past I have said, the screen. Again, the screen-to-body ratio is not very good. It's pretty good on the Book because obviously it's a separate tablet, so you're not going to be as small, considering it actually has an i5 or i7 in it compared to a standard tablet that has an ARM processor in it. So I don't know the direction of where these companies are going. Realistically, I want to see a 4th player come in there, whether it's Samsung coming out with their own operating system, which is highly unlikely at this point. It looks like Samsung, again, another past video where they are getting really close with AMD and Microsoft, and then it also looks like they're partnering up closer with Google instead of trying to fight against the grain. The new Samsung watches apparently are supposed to have Android Wear or Wear OS, which we'll probably eventually see on the Fitbits, which Google recently purchased. I'm not sure where the direction's going with them. There's a lot of things I've been thinking about after seeing the comments and doing more research after my last video talking about the future of Microsoft. I really don't see a future for any of these 3 companies. I mean, they have a future, but I don't see where they're going with it, if that makes sense, right? Apple constantly just keeps refreshing the same thing over and over and over again. They haven't made any innovation in years and years and years and years. Google, the second they innovate, they throw it away. They basically just test the market, throw spaghetti at the wall, as I recently said, and then they just, regardless if people like it or not, they get rid of it. And Microsoft itself, I mean, the Neo hasn't hit the market yet. The Duo, obviously, so far is not going so well, even though I really like the device personally. They're not showing any direction on it. They're months and months and months delayed on refreshing their computers. They haven't made any real advancements. It looks like they're going to continue working with Intel instead of making the leap to AMD, being more efficient, being able to get thinner, better battery life, better screens, just in general a better all-around device considering they're targeting the professional market and not the standard household, right? They're targeting people that are using this for professions, whether it's content creation, work, education, stock trading, running entrepreneurs and things like that. But the device itself has a long ways to go. They need to continue to, they really need to pay attention to the speakers a little, even more than they already did. They need a better camera. They need to start at 256 gigs of storage. They need to make color options top to bottom. They really need to start pulling people into the base model. Once you start getting people's attention, look at what Apple has done, right? Their products are a step down from all the competition, but they still have the attention because they're targeting, they have a vision of the people they're after, right? They may not have a vision of where they're going with the product itself, but they have a vision of what people they're going after, and that's working for them, right? Regardless of your or my opinions of the company, it's working for them, all right? They've really played on the social media side of things. Microsoft and Google are not. Microsoft and Google are constantly being like, oh, hey, look at them, they're doing it wrong. No, it's like, hey, look, this is what we were doing. This is our plan going forward. This is going to be the best Microsoft Surface Duo. This is going to be the best Surface laptop. It's going to be the best Surface Pro. This is going to be the best Pixelbook. I mean, the Pixelbook itself is just, I don't know what they were thinking. The Pixelbook was absolutely amazing. They come out with the Slate, all right, lay an egg, and then they go and get the Pixelbook Go trying to revert, but then take away all the features that made the Pixelbook 2017 so good. It's almost as bad as what Apple was doing with their terrible keyboard a couple years ago, where it got to a point where people on popular Apple magazines and articles were using Surface as the type because of how bad the keyboard was on the Macs. And it took them years. They kept, oh, we're going to fix it, and they made it worse and worse, and now they finally are starting to fix everything by reverting back to where they were supposed to be. And this is the direction where companies are. They're at the point where they're just like, oh, hey, there's this cool thing we did. Come buy my product. And it's like, realistically, you actually made the product worse, right? February update to the Surface Duo. Hey, look, we have a new update. We're going to fix all your stuff. Oh, but we broke everything else. So tell me what you guys think. What is the direction you guys want to go? Think everything's going? What's the vision? Can people like Philip Spencer that's running Xbox, can he start influencing what's going on at Apple, at Google, the rest of Microsoft itself? I mean, even Linux is starting to pay attention to not being so spread out, which is probably the issue with Google Android itself. It's too spread out. There needs to be a smaller umbrella at the top and tighten everything up a little bit. Hey, look, everybody needs to be using Android Messenger. All right? Microsoft needs to say, stop doing bloatware. All right? If you want to have a small store on there, like do a store, you can install the store and put your apps in the store. But I don't want you installing anything else on the Windows device. On top of the fact, they need to start recommending against antivirus and malware. Like realistically, they need to like fight against it and be like, hey, look, stop. Windows Defender's enough. It's good enough to where even Apple is using a very similar version inside of their last two versions of Mac OS. Google has their built-in security. They need to really just cut it down, be like, hey, look, this is the way we're going to do things, and they need to get more people included into the Windows Store. Realistically, they actually need to do the same thing Amazon did and just make a x64-bit Android store that they manage, that they take a 5% cut on with Google, partnership with Google. Obviously, Google's looking like they're going to start lowering their cut. So do that. You're opening to the largest platform on the planet, Windows, maybe second largest behind Android, but it's pretty much the largest at this point. Otherwise, Chromebooks are going to continue to grow. People are going to continue buying MacBooks, even though they can't do half the stuff they need to on it, which I deal with every day. I still want it, even though I can't do what I need to do. And then Linux, if Linux really starts getting more and more support from Google and other companies, I mean, Linux, if the right company gets a hold of Linux and really starts to streamline it, like, I mean, it looks bleak right now, but I mean, it's growing extremely slowly at snail's pace, but so is Apple. And all it took was this generation to get a little older and hit college level and grow up using iPhones, and now they're buying MacBooks. They don't realize that 20 years ago Apple was filing bankruptcy, right? Tell me what you guys think. Again, you're amazing, you're wonderful. Thank you for stopping by. Have a great day. Take care of yourselves. Be financially smart, and let's talk in the comments. Take care.